Hey guys, today we're going to do something just a little bit different. If you can see out behind me there's a lot of snow on the ground. I thought I might be able to get out earlier and squeeze in a little bit of detecting, but the ground is still frozen. It warmed up today, and I was hopeful that the weather had unfroze the ground, but that just wasn't to be. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. Recently I was challenged by Deej from Diggin with Deej to do the men's mental health challenge. Since this challenge came out, it started out as like the show me your steak challenge. Men getting out in the woods cooking steak because it's manly men doing manly things and talking about stuff that feelings, they don't want to talk about, stuff like that. But it's kind of morphed over the time. Deb got challenged, and she challenged me, and she's obviously not a guy. And I'm not going to isolate it just to men's mental health, because mental health is a big issue out there, and it deserves to be talked about. A lot of people are afraid to talk about it. It's something a lot of people don't know a lot about, and it involves feelings. So a lot of people are afraid to talk about feelings, so it doesn't really get discussed like it ought to. So I'm going to do the Show Me Your Steak challenge and talk about mental health. Let's get to the steak part. Since it's snowy outside and my grill is covered with snow still, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I was at the store today trying to pick out a steak, and I decided, you know what? I saw this and it looked pretty good, and I decided that sounds nice. I want to do a chicken fried steak, so I'm going to do that instead. So when I do my chicken fried steak, it's really simple. All I do is put some salt and pepper on it, let it set for a few minutes. I've got simple flour. This is a self-rising flour, not all-purpose. It's a very good quality. I want a very fine flour, and I put a little bit of what's it called? Cornstarch in there with it. And I just take my lightly seasoned steak, dip it in the flour, coat it lightly, shake off the extra, and I let that sit a few minutes and kind of start soaking in. And then I've got a wash here that I'm going to use. It's egg and milk. That's really all it is. You can mix up whatever kind of wash that you want to use. I'm just using a simple egg and milk. And then I'm going to take my steak and dip it back in the flour, except this time I'm adding seasonings that I've already pre-prepared. So I've got seasoned flour. I've put in some garlic powder, some onion powder, a few little odds and ends. I've got pepper. I got lots of pepper. I like some pepper. I usually don't add more salt. It really doesn't need it. Once you season the steak with salt, you don't really need to add more. Otherwise, it ends up tasting too salty. And in this case, to give it a little bit of that grilled flavor, I added some smoked paprika. So flour, wash, seasoned flour, and then I'm going to put it in the skillet. I got a cast iron skillet. And if you don't have one of these for when you're cooking inside with grease, I'm just using a tiny bit of grease in the bottom of the pan, really, just 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit more. This keeps stuff from splattering all over the place. If you don't have one, get one. It'll save you a lot of cleanup work. And to go with it, I'm just going to boil, I've got some potatoes cut up. I'm going to boil those and lightly, not mash them, I'm just going to chop them up, kind of like a baked potato that you chopped up with your fork. Add in me some sour cream, some butter, and call her good. So I'm going to get started on that stuff. And while it's getting ready, we're going to talk about some mental health stuff. So let me get this stuff prepared, and I'll be right back to you. Okay, so I'm back. I got my steak all ready to go, and it's kind of resting here and absorbing some of the or letting the flour kind of get moist on the surface of the steak. So, and I'm letting my potatoes boil and heating my grease. So Let's talk about mental health. It is a real issue these days. It affects men and women alike, young and old. It's not discriminatory. Um, it's something that you see it in so many forms these days. It's hard to know even where to begin. You see it in the news, especially when it impacts people such as those mentally troubled people that are shooting up the schools and public places like in Las Vegas and stuff like that. Um, you see it in the workforce, you see it in school, all over the place. And there's the types of mental health that we're talking about is anything that can affect your ability to live your life in a normal manner. I know there's all kinds of stuff out there, but we're talking about things like depression, suicide, or suicidal thoughts, um, trauma, like your post-traumatic stress disorders, things like that. And people have a stigma around this. They think, oh, that's just something that somebody, has, their brain chemistry's all messed up, or something like that. And yeah, there is mental health where your brain chemistry is out of balance, your neurons aren't firing right. You might be the most happy-go-lucky person in the world, or you want to be, but your brain doesn't let you because it's not wired the way it's supposed to be, or something like that. There's other ways that affects all of us, though. Those of us that you don't expect it to hit you, but there's things in your life that can cause this for you and the people around you, your friends. Workplace. Workplace is more demands on people than ever before. You get in bad work situations, you work long hours, you get low pay, healthcare is eroding, so you get higher premiums and bigger deductibles. You get it everywhere. School, social media, money, all kinds of stuff. School. Kids are being pressured to test well while they're trying to fit in and learn who they are in life. That's really hard to do. Think of when people, those of you out there my age that are watching this, think of when we went through there. We didn't have the social media, and it was hard enough back then. Add social media onto that, and cyberbullying and things like that, and it is rough for kids going through school these days. So give them a break. College-age kids have social pressures for, wanting to go out and party and stuff. They've got to get student loans or have some way to pay for school, and they know it's going to be hard to pay off because they see people out there, in their 40s still paying off their college loans, maybe even older. And they got to do all that and worry about getting passing grades. Social media, I mentioned that briefly there. It is horrible these days. People are pressured into looking certain ways, having name brand stuff, taking selfies with all the wonderful things that they're supposed to be out there doing, and you see your friends out there taking selfies of all the wonderful things they're out there doing, and you think you should be doing it. A lot of the times, that's not how it really is. People are doing that to make you think that they're having fun, or make you jealous or something. So you think you do it, you should be doing that too, so you do it. And where does it end? It's easy to get bullied. It's easy to bully someone online because you can be a name, you can be anonymous, so you can get away with it. People don't apply filters to what they say online, so they will be meaner there than anywhere else. Money. You don't need a whole lot of explanation over that one. You can't pay for your health care, you can't pay for your dental work, your car repairs. I just had to buy a battery for my car. It cost me, I use a coupon code, save 20%, but batteries aren't cheap these days. It still costs me like $185. I lost the home repairs, the cost of home, food prices. This steak challenge, that's not cheap. Have you seen the cost of steak these days? It is through the roof. All of this, the reason I'm rambling about all of this is all of this helps push you into a state that you might not otherwise have been. It can destabilize you, so this can happen to anyone. Any of us any of you can have mental health issues because you're being pushed into it by the societal pressures. And then on top of that, there's the people that have something wrong with their brains where it's not firing right, the chemistry isn't right. They want to be happy, but their brains just won't let them. There's so many forms and ways for us to talk about mental health. That's my point. So it's much more common than you think it is, yet nobody is out there talking about it and addressing it. So that's why we're out here doing these challenges, because I'm not afraid to talk about it. I want people to know I understand, and I'm trying to listen. I'm trying to my best to listen and understand so that I can help you. So what does this mean to me? Momentary pause because I think my grease is about to get overheated here. Hang on. Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. Steak's done, so I'm going to let that set a couple of minutes while the potatoes finish boiling. But what does all of this mean to me? I've had bad work situations. I'm divorced. I've had to deal with raising 2 daughters practically on my own. I've had friends that are in bad situations that have struggled mightily with depression, with anxiety, suicidal thoughts, you name it, across the board. It's not easy. There's no magic pill to fix it. I've been fortunate that I've found ways to cope for myself where I haven't been bothered by depression or anything. I've had times in my life where I've had anxiety and I've had to find ways to recover from that, and I've been fortunate that I've been able to do these things on my own and find ways to cope, but that's not the norm. It is difficult, really, really difficult to do this by yourself, especially with the pressures that society puts on us today. It takes awareness, it takes patience, it takes love from friends, and it takes you being aware and dedicated to helping yourself as well. It's not easy to talk about because we do have such a stigma or negative connotation to mental health issues. But it's something we desperately need to be talking a lot more about. There's all kinds of stuff out there that can help you. You've got places you can go. You've got Suicide Prevention Hotline, 1-800-273-8255. That's a national number. They're open 24 hours a day. You can go to your counselor at school. You can go to a friend. If you can go to a friend's parents. If you don't want anybody to know who you are, you can walk up to a church that you don't go to, go in and talk to the preacher or the imam or the rabbi or whatever there and say, look, I'm having a difficult time. I'm depressed, or I'm thinking of killing myself, or whatever the situation is. I need somebody to help me. And I don't trust talking to anybody that I know right now. Can you help guide me? And if these places, if they can't guide you or help you, they'll get you help. They'll point you in the right direction. It is difficult to do. It's like stepping outside the space shuttle with no protective gear. You know it's going to be painful. But you got to do it. I mean, it's one of those things, you don't get better unless you take that step. And one thing that everybody out there that's having issues with any kind of mental health needs to be aware of is you are loved. More than you could possibly imagine, by more people than you could possibly imagine. You are needed in this world. You are a valuable part of it. We need you. Desperately need you. You need to be here. We love you. Am I getting through? I'm trying to make it so obvious here that you're not alone. Take that step. Get the help that you need. If anybody knows me personally and you need help, reach out to me. I will do anything I have to help you. There are people out there all over the place like that, where if you reach out, they're going to do anything within their power to help you. One day, if I'm the person needing that help, I want to be able to go to you and get help too. So I know this is a lot of rambling, but this is something that's important to me to let people know that this exists from so many different directions, whether it's something that is physiological, brain chemistry related or something like that, or something that the pressures of society push on us. Mental health is real. People don't get anxiety for nothing. They don't want to kill themselves for no reason. They don't get depressed and like it. These people that have these issues desperately don't want to have these issues. So pay attention to the people around you. Pay attention to those friends that you have, and love each other, and be there and be aware of these things that are going on. Talk about it. I don't know what else I can really say about it other than make people aware. Talk to each other. Be good to each other. Be patient with each other. If we had a lot more of that in life, then the world that we are in right now would be a lot better, and maybe some of those social pressures would start to go away. But it's not going to go away if we don't force it to happen, if we don't start doing it ourselves. There's a coin that I carry in my pocket all the time. It's a nickel that was pressed with a saying into it that I really like. It was a piece of change, but it says, "Be the change you want to see." You have to be that change. You have to be the person that reaches out to someone and says, "I want to help you." And you have to be the person, if you're needing help, that's take that deep breath and say, "Okay, I can do this. I need help. I need you to be my friend, and I need you to listen to me. Can we sit down and talk?" If you need to talk to me, I'll be here to listen as well. I'll do whatever I can. But people, this is real. Get out there, talk about it, and share it. I'm not going to challenge anybody else individually for the challenge here. I'm just going to make you. I'm just going to say, if this is something that's important to you, or if this affects you in any way, I'm going to challenge you to step up and talk about it. Say, you know what? I saw that video, and you're right. This is me. This is my story. Tell your story. Make people aware that you took that step. Make people aware that you're there for them as well. So let's keep this going, guys. And remember, love each other. So take care, and I'll see you guys later.